He was beaten up as a ghost on the streets of Tokyo. This is simply the most explosive news in Japan in recent times. In this video, Charlie and Aki, because it was late and the mobile phone video was not very clear, they could only take 50% of their looks clearly, and the quality was comparable to those videos released by paparazzi night celebrities. The photos are similar. However, the picture is enough for the Japanese people to recognize Aki. As for Charlie, because the Japanese people didn't have any idea about him, so when the video was released, the Japanese couldn't recognize him. However, if you are a little familiar with Charlie, you can still recognize Charlie's identity from this video. Ito Takehiko was sitting in his study at this time, bored with a Cuban cigar and a glass of scotch in his hand. He was still annoyed at the first meeting of the Sue family with the Takahashi family, and even more worried about Charlie. His mood was naturally bad. At this time, Tanaka Hiroshi rushed in without knocking on the door suddenly, and said anxiously, "President, something has happened." Ito Takehiko scolded annoyedly, "What big thing can make you mess like this? What kind of style is this?" Hiroshi Tanaka didn't have time to explain. He hurriedly handed the phone to him, clicked play, and said, "Let's take a look. It's the big news of the Takahashi from the family." Big news from the Takahashi family? As soon as Ito heard this, he immediately glared, "Damn. What big news? Did the Sue family announce their cooperation with them so soon? Shouldn't it? The Sue family should have just landed in Tokyo. How could it be? Are they making a decision so quickly? Don't these beasts plan to meet us?" Hiroshi Tanaka hurriedly said, "It's not this news, it's Aki Takahashi who was scrapped on the street." Aki was abolished? Ito Takehiko blurted out like a lightning strike, "Who did it?" In his impression, there are only a handful of people in Tokyo who dare to act on Aki. If you want to do it yourself, you will be frustrated. After all, the gap between the Ito family and the Takahashi family is not too big. If you really do it on Takahashi, it is almost equivalent to declaring war on that family. Therefore, except for his father, Ito Takehiko can't think of anyone else who would dare to attack him. So, he quickly looked at Tanaka's cell phone, wanting to see who was so kind. It didn't matter at this look, Ito was trembling with fright. He couldn't hold his fingers firmly, and the cigar fell out of his hand and fell on his pants. It immediately burned a hole in his expensive hand-sewn suit pants. Ito Takehiko didn't care about feeling distressed, grabbed the cigar and threw it aside, pointed at the evil-looking man on the phone, and blurted out, This, isn't this Charlie?" Although he only met Charlie at that time, Ito Takehiko remembered his appearance clearly. This may be the power of hatred. After all, Charlie's face not only means humiliation to Ito Takehiko, but also represents a huge sum of $4.5 billion United States dollars. He can recognize it really turned into ashes. Seeing Charlie in the video, continuously flipping Aki's more than a dozen bodyguards, and then abolished Aki's arms, Ito Takehiko couldn't help but feel his back chills. Only then did he realize how strong Charlie is. Last time, he just abolished his 2 bodyguards. This time, he simply scrapped a dozen of Aki's bodyguards in one go. With this strength, the average ninjutsu master is not an opponent either. While surprised, deep in his heart he couldn't help but fear. Fortunately, he didn't make Charlie anxious that day. Otherwise, just like Charlie's violent temper, wouldn't he just get hammered half to death? Aki is a young man. He has some physical resistance. He is too old, and he is really guilty of him. He will go directly to see Amaterasu in 1 or 2 rounds. After a while of fear, Ito Takehiko was also a little gloating. He watched Aki screaming again and again, a smile appeared at the corner of his mouth, and then reached out to drag the progress bar, and replayed Aki's unlucky process again, and the smile on the corners of his mouth became even stronger. Immediately afterwards, he played it again, and the smile at the corner of his mouth became more intense. After watching it a dozen times in a row, Ito Takehiko smiled. Okay, the Takahashi family also has it today. After this video has become popular throughout Japan, don't want the faces of their Takahashi family hide on the roads. Hiroshi Tanaka nodded and said, "Now this video has become a hit on all major online and video platforms in Japan, and the reputation of the Takahashi family will definitely suffer a severe setback. Very good. Takehiko Ito exhaled happily and said, "Oh, seeing this video makes me feel much better." After that, he remembered something, and said, "The Takahashi family and I have never dealt with each other, but this time we finally have a common enemy." Hiroshi Tanaka said in a hurry, "President, are you trying to deal with Charlie together with the Takahashi family?" "Of course not." Ito said with lingering fear, "I am different from the Takahashi family. Aki was beaten up in the street by Charlie. It is known throughout the country. In contrast, I am much better. I was at Kobayashi Pharmaceutical that day. Although I suffered a big loss, at any rate, I closed the door and suffered a loss without letting the people across the country know." Tanaka was stunned for a while. Unexpectedly, the guild leader, who has always been a staunch personality, would be so self-comforting.